My name is Harry, and I am 58 years old. Right now, I am sitting alone in this airport terminal on Christmas night, surrounded by families hugging children, laughing, couples kissing under the mistletoe. 12 hours ago, I arrived here with a heart full of hope, clutching a bag of Christmas gifts for my daughter Emily. She had called me that morning and said those words I had been longing to hear. "Wait for me at the airport, Dad. I will be there soon to pick you up." But as the clock ticks past 8 in the evening and the terminal grows quieter, I am starting to realize that sometimes the people we love the most can hurt us the deepest. I would love to know where you are watching this from today. If you have ever felt forgotten by someone you cherished, please tap that like button and subscribe to this channel. Because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about being a father, about unconditional love, and about when it is time to finally let go. Now let me take you back to where it all began. Emily is my only child. She is 28 years old now, but I still remember the day she was born like it was yesterday. Her mother, my beloved wife Sarah, passed away when Emily was just 6 years old. Cancer took her from us in the span of 8 brutal months. I can still see Sarah lying in that hospital bed, her hand weak in mine, making me promise to take care of our little girl. I have kept that promise every single day since. Raising Emily alone was not easy, but it was the greatest honor of my life. I worked 2 jobs to make sure she had everything she needed. During the day, I was a mechanical engineer at an automobile plant in Detroit, where I had worked for over 20 years. The pay was decent, but with mortgage bills and a growing child, it was never quite enough. So every evening after my shift ended at 5, I would drive straight to Anderson's hardware store on Maple Street, where I worked as a sales associate until closing time at 9. I would get home around 10, sometimes later, exhausted to my bones. But no matter how tired I was, I always made sure to be there for Emily. I set my alarm for 5 every morning so I could make her favorite breakfast: pancakes with blueberries and a drizzle of maple syrup. She loved them so much that even now, decades later, the smell of pancakes cooking still makes me think of her sleepy smile as she shuffled into the kitchen in her pajamas, her hair a mess rubbing her eyes. I taught her how to ride a bike in Jefferson Park, running alongside her for what felt like miles until she finally found her balance and pedaled away, laughing with pure joy. I was there for every scraped knee, every bad dream, every school play where she nervously forgot her lines, and I clapped the loudest anyway. We had our traditions, too. Every Friday night was pizza and movie night. Every Sunday morning we would go to the farmer's market and pick out fresh vegetables together, and she would help me cook dinner that evening. Emily grew up to be everything I had hoped for, and more. She was smart, graduating at the top of her high school class. She was kind, always the first to help a classmate who was struggling, or to volunteer at the local animal shelter. She had Sarah's warm brown eyes and gentle spirit, but she had inherited my stubborn determination too. I was so proud of her. I still am, despite everything. When Emily was accepted to Stanford University in California with a full academic scholarship, I felt my heart swell with pride and break a little at the same time. Stanford, one of the best universities in the country. It was everything I had worked for, everything I had dreamed she would achieve. But California was over 2,000 miles away from our little house in Detroit, 2,000 miles from the only home she had ever known. The day I drove Emily to California for her freshman year is etched in my memory. I took a week off from both jobs, something I had never done before. We packed up my old Ford sedan with all her belongings and hit the road. It took us 3 days driving through the heart of America. We stopped in small towns along the way, eating at local diners, staying in budget motels where the beds sagged in the middle and the air conditioning rattled all night. But none of that mattered. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. She told me about her dreams of becoming an environmental engineer, about wanting to make a difference in the world. I told her stories about her mother, about how proud Sarah would have been. When we finally arrived at Stanford's campus with its sandstone buildings and palm trees swaying in the breeze, Emily's eyes lit up in a way I had never seen before. As we unloaded her boxes into her dorm room, carrying them up 3 flights of stairs, because the elevator was broken, I felt the weight of what was about to happen. My little girl was starting a new chapter 1 that did not include me in the daily details. Before I left, she hugged me tight in the parking lot. "I will call you every week, Dad. I promise." Her voice was muffled against my shoulder. I held her for a long moment, memorizing the feeling, then got in my car and drove away. I made it about 5 miles before I had to pull over because I could not see the road through my tears. But Emily kept her word. For the first 4 years of college, she called me every single week without fail, usually on Sunday evenings right after dinner. She would tell me about her classes, about the research projects she was working on, about her roommates, and the study groups that met late into the night. I lived for those calls. I would sit in my armchair, the same one Sarah used to curl up in with a book, and listen to Emily's voice bringing color into my quiet house. I flew out to California twice a year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I could not really afford it, especially the Christmas flights, which were always outrageously expensive, but I did not care. I would stay at a cheap motel about 3 miles from campus, the kind where you could hear every conversation through the paper-thin walls. Every morning I would drive to campus and meet Emily at her favorite coffee shop, a little place called The Grind, that smelled like roasted beans and had mismatched furniture. We would spend hours there, talking, laughing, sometimes, just sitting in comfortable silence while she studied, and I read the newspaper. I watched her grow and flourish during those visits. She joined the Environmental Action Club and became its president by junior year. She made the dean's list every semester. She had friends who greeted her warmly whenever we walked across campus together. Seeing her thrive like that, seeing her happy and successful made every sacrifice worthwhile. Every double shift, every missed vacation, every lonely evening at home. It was all worth it. Then Emily graduated with honors and landed a job at a major tech company in San Francisco, about an hour north of Stanford. She was hired as a junior environmental consultant, working on sustainability projects for the company's global operations. The salary was more than I had ever made in my best year. She was so excited when she called to tell me the news. "Dad, can you believe it? They offered me $75,000 a year. That is more than I ever dreamed of making right out of college." I was thrilled for her. Genuinely, deeply thrilled. My daughter had made it. She had broken through barriers that I could never have crossed myself. She was going to have opportunities and experiences I could only imagine. But there was a small, selfish part of me that wondered what this would mean for us. Would she still need her old dad, now that she was a successful young professional in Silicon Valley? At first, nothing changed. Emily still called every week now, usually on Saturday mornings, because her weekdays were consumed by work. She would tell me about her projects, about learning to navigate office politics, about the apartment she rented in a neighborhood called the Mission District. It sounds sketchy, Dad, but it is actually really cool. Lots of amazing restaurants and street art everywhere. But slowly, gradually, things began to shift. The weekly calls became every other week, then once a month. Sometimes she would text instead short messages like, "Crazy busy at work, will call soon," followed by a heart emoji. I understood, or at least I tried to. She was building her career, building her life. That was natural. That was what I had raised her to do. Be independent. Be successful. I just had not realized how much that success might pull her away from me. The shift became more obvious around the holidays. For the past 5 Christmases since she had been in California, I had always flown out to see her. It had become our tradition. But last year, 3 days before Christmas, Emily called with news that hit me like a punch to the gut. "Dad, I am so sorry, but I cannot take time off this year. We have this huge project deadline right after New Year, and my boss said everyone needs to be available." I felt my chest tighten. "On Christmas?" "Yes," she said, and her voice sounded tired. Strained. "I know it is terrible timing. I am really sorry." I tried to keep the disappointment out of my voice. "It is okay, sweetheart. Work is important. I understand." "Are you sure you do not sound upset?" "I am fine, honey. I had already decorated the house, already bought her gifts, already planned the menu for Christmas dinner." But I could not tell her that. I could not make her feel guilty. "Do not worry about me. You focus on your work." That Christmas was the loneliest day of my life since Sarah died. I had cooked a turkey, a full 12-pounder, even though it was just me. I am not sure why I did it. Maybe out of habit. Maybe out of hope that Emily would surprise me and show up at the door. I set the table for 2, put out the good china that we only used for special occasions. I sat down at 6 in the evening, said a quiet grace the way Sarah used to, and looked at the empty chair across from me. I tried calling Emily around 7, thinking maybe we could at least talk while I ate. The phone rang 4 times and went to voicemail. I left a message. "Hey, sweetheart, just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas. I love you. Give me a call when you get a chance." 2 hours later, she sent a text. "Sorry, Dad, in a meeting. We'll call later." She never did. I spent the rest of the evening sitting in front of the television, not really watching anything, just needing the noise to fill the silence. At some point, I must have fallen asleep in my chair, because I woke up at 2 in the morning with a stiff neck and the TV still playing some old black and white movie. I looked at my phone. No missed calls, no new messages. The months that followed were harder than I wanted to admit. My calls to Emily increasingly went to voicemail. When she did call back, our conversations felt rushed, distracted. I could hear the clicking of her keyboard in the background sometimes, like she was multitasking while we talked. "How are you, honey? Are you eating well? Do you need anything?" "I am fine." "Dad, just busy." The same answer every time. I started following Emily on Facebook, something I had resisted for years because I had never really understood social media. But I created an account and sent her a friend request. She accepted within an hour. Suddenly, I had this window into her life that I did not have through our phone calls. She posted pictures of herself at restaurants with friends, at company events, hiking in Marin County, attending concerts and art galleries. She looked happy, vibrant, successful. Everything a father should want for his daughter. But in none of those photos, in none of those updates, was there any mention of me. It was like I had been edited out of her life story. I know that sounds self-pitying, and maybe it is. But scrolling through her feed late at night, seeing her whole world laid out in carefully filtered photos and clever captions, I felt like a ghost, present but invisible. Then came my birthday in June. I turned 58. I did not expect much. A phone call would have been nice, maybe a card. But the day came and went with nothing. I kept my phone close all day, checking it obsessively. By evening, I convinced myself that she had probably just forgotten that she was busy, that it would be fine. At 8 that night, I went to the grocery store and bought myself a small chocolate cake from the bakery section. At home, I stuck 58 candles in it. Well, I started to, but after about 20, I realized how ridiculous that was going to look. So I settled for 5 candles representing each decade, plus 8 more. I sat at my kitchen table alone and sang happy birthday to myself in a whisper. Then I blew out the candles and made a wish. I wished that my daughter would remember me. At 11:45 that night, my phone buzzed. A text from Emily. "Happy birthday, Dad. Sorry I forgot to call. Work has been crazy." I stared at those words for a long time. Then I typed back, "Thank you, sweetheart. I love you." The message showed as read immediately, but she never responded. That night, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, I made a decision. I could not keep waiting for Emily to make time for me. I needed to be more proactive. I needed to find a way to reconnect with my daughter before the distance between us became permanent. I fell asleep thinking about how I might do that. In early November, I gathered my courage and called Emily. For once, she actually answered. "Hey, Dad, what is up?" Her voice was cheerful but rushed. I could hear traffic in the background. She was probably walking somewhere. "Emily," I was thinking. "How about I come to San Francisco for Christmas this year? We can celebrate together." There was a pause. I do not know, Dad. Work might be really busy around that time. We might have some year-end deadlines." I pressed on, trying to keep my voice light. "I do not mind, honey. I just want to see you. It has been a year now." Another pause, longer this time. "Okay, Dad. Let me check my schedule and get back to you." "That would be great, sweetheart. Take your time. Talk soon. Love you." "Love you too, Dad." A week went by. No call. I sent her a gentle text reminder. "Hey, honey. Just wondering if you had a chance to check your schedule for Christmas." She replied 3 days later. "Still checking. We'll let you know soon." I tried to be patient. I really did. But as November turned into December and I still had not heard anything definite, I decided to take matters into my own hands. On December 2nd, I went online and booked a flight. Detroit to San Francisco. Departing December 24th at 6 in the morning, arriving at 9. I booked a return flight for December 29th, giving us 5 full days together. The tickets were expensive, almost $800 round trip, but I did not care. I booked a room at a budget hotel in the Mission District not far from where Emily lived, according to her Facebook posts. 3 nights, $240 total. Then I went shopping for Christmas gifts. I bought Emily a beautiful cashmere scarf in deep blue, her favorite color. It cost me almost $100 more than I usually spent, but it was soft and luxurious, and I knew she would love it. I also spent hours creating a photo album by hand. I printed out pictures from throughout her life. Emily as a baby in Sarah's arms. Emily on her first day of kindergarten, missing her 2 front teeth. Emily at her high school graduation. Emily and me together at Stanford, standing in front of the campus fountain. I arranged them all in a leather-bound album, writing little captions under each photo with memories and stories. It took me 3 evenings to finish, but when I was done, I felt proud. This was something special. Something that showed how much I cherished every moment we had shared. I imagined Emily's face when she opened these gifts. I imagined us sitting together in her apartment, looking through the photo album, laughing at old memories, maybe even crying a little. I imagined her wearing the blue scarf and telling me how much she loved it. These thoughts kept me warm through the cold Detroit December nights. On December 18th, a week before my flight, my phone rang. Emily. My heart jumped. "Hey, honey." I answered, probably too eagerly. "Hey, Dad," she said. And immediately I could tell something was wrong. Her voice had that stressed, apologetic tone that I had come to recognize. "Listen, I have some bad news." My stomach dropped. "What is wrong?" "Are you okay?" "I am fine. It is just work stuff. I have to fly to New York on Christmas Eve for a big presentation. I will not be in San Francisco for Christmas." The disappointment was crushing. "Oh, I see." I already bought the ticket to San Francisco. There was silence on the other end. Then, wait, Dad. Actually, maybe this works out. My mind could not follow. What do you mean? Well, my flight back from New York gets into San Francisco on Christmas morning. It lands at 8, so you could still fly in on the 24th like you planned, stay at your hotel that night, and then on Christmas morning you go to the airport. I will be landing at 8. You wait for me there, and I will pick you up. We can go have brunch together and spend the day. I was confused. Pick me up at the airport? But I will already be in San Francisco. Why would I go back to the airport? She sighed that impatient sigh that children give their parents when they think they are being slow. Dad, just do it this way, okay? Fly in on Christmas Eve. Stay at your hotel. Then, on Christmas morning, be at the airport. I land at 8. Wait for me at arrivals, and I will come get you. We will spend the whole day together, I promise. It seemed like an odd plan, inefficient even, but I did not want to argue. Are you sure, honey? Would it not be easier if I just waited at your apartment or something? No, Dad. Please, just do it this way. Trust me, I will be there at 8. Wait for me at the airport, and I will come get you. Okay. Her voice was firm now, leaving no room for discussion. Okay, sweetheart. I will be there. Thank you, Dad. I have to run. I will see you on Christmas. Love you. Love you too, honey. After we hung up, I sat thinking about the conversation. Something about it felt strange, but I could not put my finger on what. Maybe Emily wanted to surprise me with something special, some plan that required meeting at the airport. Maybe there was a restaurant nearby she wanted to take me to. Or maybe she just wanted to maximize our time together and thought picking me up from the airport would be more efficient somehow. I decided to trust her. She was my daughter. She would not steer me wrong. The days leading up to Christmas crawled by. I was excited in a way I had not been in over a year. Finally, I would see Emily. Finally, we would spend time together. I packed my suitcase carefully, the blue scarf wrapped in festive paper, the photo album in a gift bag, nice clothes for our brunch together, a thick winter coat, because I knew San Francisco could be chilly, even though it did not snow like Detroit. On Christmas Eve morning, my alarm went off at 3. My flight was at 6, which meant I needed to be at the airport by 4:30. I showered, dressed, grabbed my suitcase, and took a cab to Detroit Metropolitan Airport. The airport was surprisingly busy, even at that early hour, full of people traveling to see family for the holidays. I watched parents wrangling sleepy children couples, holding hands, elderly people being pushed in wheelchairs by patient relatives. Everyone was going somewhere, going to someone. My flight was smooth. I had a window seat and watched the sun rise somewhere over the Midwest, the sky turning from black to deep blue to brilliant pink and orange. When we landed in San Francisco at 9 local time, I felt a surge of excitement. I was here, in Emily's city. I took a shuttle to my hotel and checked in. The room was small and basic, but clean enough. A double bed with a floral bedspread, a tiny bathroom, a window that looked out onto a busy street. I unpacked a little, then spent the rest of the day walking around the neighborhood. The Mission District was everything Emily had described. Colorful murals covered building walls. The smell of coffee and baking bread drifted from cafes. People spoke Spanish-English sometimes, both in the same sentence. It felt alive and vibrant, and nothing like Detroit. I had dinner alone at a small Mexican restaurant, some of the best tacos I had ever eaten. Then I went back to my hotel room and tried to sleep. Tomorrow was Christmas. Tomorrow I would see Emily. I set 3 alarms on my phone, determined not to oversleep. I woke up at 5 in the morning on Christmas Day, too excited to sleep any longer. I took my time getting ready, wanting to look nice for Emily. I wore the navy blue sweater she had given me 3 Christmases ago. Dress pants, my good shoes. I shaved carefully, combed my hair. At 6:30, I called a taxi. The driver was a middle-aged man with a thick accent I could not quite place. "Merry Christmas," he said cheerfully as I got in. "Merry Christmas," I replied. "Going to the airport?" "Yes, to pick up my daughter." "Ah, family reunion. Very nice, very nice." He chatted the whole way about his own children, but I barely heard him. My mind was focused on seeing Emily. We arrived at San Francisco International Airport at 7:15, 45 minutes before Emily's flight was scheduled to land. I paid the driver, grabbed my bag with the gifts, and headed inside. The airport was decorated for Christmas. Garland wrapped around pillars. A massive Christmas tree stood in the center of the terminal, covered in gold and silver ornaments. Music played softly over the speakers, traditional carols that reminded me of Christmases past. I found the arrivals area for Emily's flight. She had texted me the night before with her flight number and airline. I checked the board. On time, arriving at 8. I found a seat near the arrivals gate where passengers would come out after clearing security and baggage claim. I set my bag down and waited. At exactly 8, I watched the board update. Landed. My heart raced. Emily was here, just on the other side of those walls. Soon, she would walk through those doors, and I would see her face for the first time in a year. I stood up, clutching the gift bag, my eyes fixed on the doors. Passengers began emerging. A young mother with 2 small children, an elderly couple moving slowly, a group of college-aged kids laughing and shouting, a businessman in a suit talking loudly on his phone. More and more people streamed out, greeted by waiting family and friends. Squeals of delight, hugs and kisses, children running into their grandparents' arms. But no Emily. I scanned every face. Blonde hair like hers was not uncommon, so several times my heart jumped, only to realize it was a stranger. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then 30. The stream of passengers slowed to a trickle, then stopped. The arrivals area grew quiet again. I pulled out my phone and called Emily. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Voicemail. I sent a text. "Honey, I am here at the airport. Where are you?" The message showed as delivered but not read. I waited 5 minutes, then tried calling again. Still voicemail. Maybe she was stuck in customs. That could take a while sometimes. Or maybe her luggage was delayed. I decided to be patient and wait. I sat back down, my eyes never leaving those doors, watching for her familiar face. 9 o'clock came. Then 9:30. I called and texted repeatedly. No response. The arrivals board had moved on to other flights. By 10 o'clock, I started to feel real worry creeping in. What if something had happened? What if she had gotten sick on the flight? What if there had been an accident? I approached the airline counter. "Excuse me, I am trying to find my daughter. She was supposed to be on the flight that landed at 8 this morning from New York." The woman behind the counter looked sympathetic but shook her head. "I am sorry, sir, but we cannot provide passenger information due to privacy regulations." "But the flight landed right?" "Yes, sir. It arrived on time at 8. Is there any way to know if she was on it?" "I am sorry, sir. We cannot share that information." I walked back to my seat, feeling helpless. Around me, the airport was filling up with holiday travelers. Families were everywhere. Children wore Santa hats and carried new toys. Couples held hands. Laughter echoed through the terminal. Christmas music played endlessly. Jingle bells. Silent night. Joy to the world. The songs felt like mockery. I bought a sandwich from a nearby cafe around noon, though I barely tasted it. My phone stayed in my hand, constantly checking for messages, calling Emily again and again. Voicemail every single time. The texts went from concerned to desperate. "Emily, please answer. I am worried. Are you okay? Just let me know you are safe." By 2 in the afternoon, I had been at the airport for almost 7 hours. Other travelers looked at me with curiosity or pity. I must have looked pathetic. An old man sitting alone, clutching a gift bag, staring at a phone that never rang. I did not care. I just needed to know that Emily was all right. 3 o'clock. 4 o'clock. The winter sun began to set, visible through the massive airport windows. The sky turned orange and pink, beautiful and indifferent. 5 o'clock. 6 o'clock. I had been there for 11 hours now. My back ached from the uncomfortable chairs. My eyes burned from staring at my phone screen. I was hungry, but could not bring myself to leave my post, terrified that the moment I walked away would be the moment Emily appeared. Around 7, a woman sat down near me. She looked to be in her early 60s with graying hair and kind eyes. She pulled out a book, but I noticed she kept glancing at me. Finally, she spoke. "Excuse me, are you all right, sir? You have been here since this morning. I have noticed." I looked at her, and something about her gentle concern made my eyes well up. "I am waiting for my daughter. She was supposed to arrive this morning." The woman's expression softened. "Have you been able to reach her, Mo?" "I have been calling and texting all day." "Nothing." She was quiet for a moment. "I am waiting for my son. His flight was delayed, but he should be here in about an hour." We talked for a while. She told me about her son who worked in Seattle and was coming home for Christmas. I told her about Emily, about the promise she had made about waiting. The woman listened patiently, and when I finished, she said gently, "Maybe you should consider that she might not have been on that flight, or maybe something else is going on." I shook my head. "No," she promised. She said, "Wait for me at the airport." The woman reached over and patted my hand. "I hope she comes," she said softly. "I really do. But please take care of yourself. Do not forget that you matter too." Her words were kind, but I could see the pity in her eyes. She thought I was a foolish old man, waiting for someone who was not coming. Maybe I was. By 8 in the evening, I had been at the airport for 13 hours. The terminal was quieter now. Most Christmas Day flights had concluded. The shops were closing. Even the music had stopped. My phone buzzed. Finally, a message from Emily. My hands shook as I opened it. "Dad, I am so sorry. I cannot make it." Something came up. "You should go back to your hotel." That was it. 13 hours of waiting. 13 hours of worry and hope and desperate phone calls. And all I got was a cold, brief text. No explanation. No real apology. Just go back to your hotel. I read the message again and again, as if reading it multiple times would reveal some hidden meaning, some warmth I had missed. But there was nothing. My fingers fumbled as I typed a response. "Emily, I have been waiting for over 12 hours. Where are you?" What happened? I hit send and watched the message show as delivered, then read. She had seen it. The 3 little dots appeared indicating she was typing. Then they disappeared. Then appeared again. Then disappeared again. No message came. I waited 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Nothing. I called. It rang once and then went to voicemail. She had declined my call. The woman sitting nearby saw my face. She had been reading her book, but now she set it down. What happened? I could barely speak. "She is not coming." I showed her the message. The woman read it, and her expression crumpled with sympathy. "Oh, honey, I am so sorry." I nodded, not trusting my voice. A moment later, a young man appeared calling out, "Mom." The woman stood up, and her son swept her into a hug. "Merry Christmas, Mom. I missed you." "Merry Christmas, sweetheart." she replied, her voice full of love. Before she left, she turned back to me. I do not know your situation, and I do not know your daughter, but I know that you deserve better than this. Please take care of yourself. Then she was gone, swept away in the happy chaos of her reunion. I sat alone in the now nearly empty terminal. The gift bag sat at my feet. Inside was the blue scarf, still wrapped in festive paper. The photo album I had spent hours creating. All those memories, all that love reduced to objects that would never be given. I stood up slowly. My legs were stiff from sitting so long. I picked up my bag and walked toward the exit. On my way, I passed a trash can. I stopped next to it and looked down at the gift bag in my hand. For a long moment, I just stood there. Then, with a movement that felt both devastating and liberating, I dropped the bag into the trash. I did not do it out of anger. I did it because I finally understood. These gifts, this love I kept trying to give, were not wanted. Emily had made that clear. Not with words, but with actions. With 13 hours of silence. With a cold text message. With a promise broken so casually, it was like she had forgotten I was a real person with real feelings. I walked out of the airport into the cold San Francisco night. It was Christmas. The city was lit up with lights. I could hear music and laughter drifting from nearby restaurants and bars. I took a taxi back to my hotel and went straight to my room. I sat on the edge of the bed and finally let myself cry. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just quiet tears running down my face while I sat in the dark. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw myself sitting in that airport, watching the doors, hoping. At some point in the early morning hours, I made a decision. I was not going to run back to Detroit with my tail between my legs. I was not going to let this destroy me. I had 5 days in San Francisco. I was going to use them. When I woke up on December 26th, I felt different. Lighter, somehow. I was done chasing someone who clearly did not want to be caught. I took a shower, got dressed, and went downstairs to a coffee shop I had noticed the day before. I ordered a large coffee and a croissant, and sat by the window watching the city wake up. I did not check my phone obsessively. In fact, I put it in my pocket and left it there. After breakfast, I went for a walk. San Francisco is a beautiful city when you actually take the time to see it. I walked for hours, my legs carrying me up and down the steep hills. I crossed the Golden Gate Bridge on foot, the wind whipping around me. The bay stretching out gray and vast on both sides. I stood in the middle of the bridge for a long time looking at the water, thinking about nothing and everything. On the 27th, I took a bus to Fisherman's Wharf. I ate clam chowder in a sourdough bread bowl. I watched the sea lions barking on Pier 39, their fat bodies flopping over each other, so unconcerned with anything except lying in the sun. I bought a ticket for a boat tour around Alcatraz. Standing on the deck as we circled the old prison, listening to the guide talk about escape attempts and famous inmates, I felt oddly peaceful. That evening, I discovered a small jazz club in North Beach. I had never been to a jazz club before, but I walked in, paid the cover charge, and found a seat at the bar. The music washed over me. The saxophone player was incredible, his notes bending and weaving through the smoky air. I ordered a whiskey, something I rarely did, and listened for 2 hours. Nobody knew me there. Nobody pitied me. I was just another person in the crowd, enjoying the music. On the 28th, I went to the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. I spent the entire day there, wandering through galleries, looking at paintings and sculptures I did not always understand, but found beautiful anyway. There was one painting that stopped me in my tracks. It showed a single figure standing at the edge of an ocean, their back to the viewer. The colors were dark blues and grays, but there was a strip of golden light on the horizon. Something about it made my chest ache. It felt like a metaphor for where I was, standing at the edge of something vast and uncertain, but with light somewhere ahead. Each night I returned to my hotel room exhausted from walking. My phone stayed mostly silent. Emily never called, never texted again after that brief message on Christmas. I thought about reaching out, but I could not bring myself to do it. What would I even say? I was not angry anymore. Anger required energy I no longer had. I was just dazed and tired, and finally ready to accept that the relationship I thought I had with my daughter was not the relationship that actually existed. On the evening of December 29th, my last night in San Francisco, I sat down at the small desk in my hotel room and opened my laptop. I wrote Emily an email. I spent 2 hours on it, writing and rewriting, trying to find the right words. In the end, I kept it simple and honest. Emily, I waited for you for over 12 hours on Christmas Day, not because I expected anything in return, but because you are my daughter, and I love you. But I realized something that day, sitting in that airport watching families reunite while I sat alone. I cannot keep waiting for someone who does not make time for me. I cannot keep hoping for a relationship that only I am fighting for. I have spent your entire life putting you first. I worked 2 jobs so you could have what you needed. I sacrificed my own wants and dreams so you could pursue yours. I do not regret any of that. I would do it all again. But I will not keep sacrificing my dignity, my self-respect, by begging for crumbs of your attention. I will always love you. My door will always be open if you ever want to come back. But I will not chase you anymore. I deserve to be treated with respect, even by my own child. Maybe especially by my own child. I hope one day you will understand what it means to truly love someone, to show up for them, to keep your promises, to make them feel valued. Until then, I will be here in Detroit, living my life, taking care of myself, and trying to be happy, despite this hole in my heart, where my daughter used to be. Love always, Dad. I read it 3 times, then hit send before I could change my mind. The email showed as delivered, then 10 minutes later as read. I waited an hour, 2 hours. No response. I closed my laptop and went to bed. The next morning I flew back to Detroit. As the plane lifted off and San Francisco disappeared beneath the clouds, I felt something unexpected. Relief. I had been carrying the weight of that relationship for so long, trying to hold it together through sheer force of will. Now I was letting it go. Not forever, but for now. Letting it be what it actually was, rather than what I desperately wanted it to be. It is 6 months now since that Christmas at the airport. Life has continued the way it always does. The first few weeks back in Detroit were hard. I went through the motions. Work, home, sleep, repeat. But gradually, I started making changes. Small ones at first. I joined a book club at the local library. Every other Tuesday evening, a group of 8 people meet to discuss whatever book we chose the month before. I was nervous the first time I went, but everyone was welcoming. There is Margaret, a retired teacher, who has strong opinions about everything and makes me laugh. There is David, a widower like me, who lost his wife to Alzheimer's 5 years ago. There is Patricia, who works at the post office and brings homemade cookies to every meeting. I started running again, something I had not done since I was in my 30s. Just short distances at first around my neighborhood in the early mornings. The cold Detroit air burning my lungs, my breath forming clouds in front of me. Gradually, I built up stamina. Now I run 3 miles 4 times a week. My body aches less. I sleep better. I also began volunteering at a local food bank on Saturday mornings. 3 hours of sorting donations, packing boxes, helping people who are struggling. It feels good to be useful, to help others. to focus on something bigger than my own pain. Emily never responded to my email. I have seen her Facebook posts, though. I have stopped checking regularly. She seems happy. There are pictures of her at company events, at concerts, on weekend trips to Napa Valley and Lake Tahoe. Her life is full and busy and successful. There is just no room in it for me. I have accepted that now. It still hurts sometimes, especially on holidays, or when I see fathers and daughters together. But it is a duller pain now. Manageable. I have learned something important these past 6 months. Love should never be a one-way street, even between a parent and a child. I spent years believing that parental love meant endless sacrifice, endless forgiveness, endless waiting. And maybe there is some truth to that. But there is also truth in recognizing when love becomes self-destruction, when sacrifice becomes surrender of yourself. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to let go. Not with bitterness or resentment, but with a kind of peaceful acceptance. I love Emily. I will always love Emily. But I cannot make her love me back in the way I need. I cannot force her to prioritize our relationship. All I can do is live my own life, take care of myself, and hope that someday, somehow, we find our way back to each other. I learned that I am worthy of respect and time, even from my own daughter. That it is okay to have boundaries. That it is okay to say, this is hurting me, and I cannot continue like this. For so long, I felt guilty even thinking such thoughts. What kind of father gives up on his child? But I am not giving up. I am just stepping back, giving us both space, letting her live her life while I learn to live mine. Most importantly, I learned that healing does not come from waiting for others to change. It comes from changing yourself, from finding new sources of joy and purpose, from building a life that does not revolve entirely around one person who may never come back. If Emily ever comes back, I will welcome her with open arms, but I will never again wait 12 hours at an airport for anyone. Because I finally learned that the person I should have been taking care of all along was myself. I spent so many years making sure Emily had everything she needed that I forgot I needed things too. Love, respect, connection, purpose. I am finding those things now in different places than I expected. In book club discussions and early morning runs, in volunteering and new friendships, in quiet evenings at home that no longer feel quite so lonely. I am 58 years old. I have spent the majority of my adult life being someone's father. But I am also Harry. Just Harry. A man with interests and dreams and value beyond my relationship to anyone else. I am learning who that person is. And you know what? I think I am going to be okay. Have you ever had to let go of a relationship that was hurting you, even though you still loved the person? Have you ever felt forgotten by someone you would do anything for? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please take a moment to like this video. If it resonated with you, subscribe to the channel for more stories and share this with anyone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that you are worthy of love and respect always. Take care of yourselves out there. And to everyone spending holidays alone or struggling with difficult family relationships, please know that you are not alone. Wishing you all peace and healing.